That's just
Manway is Austin Powers to Alcor's.
Yeah, and they just constantly like.
That's the tagline for the video.
Like, oh yeah, boom. So the biggest reason why I wanted to do this is because, I know I texted you about it a little bit, but like honestly, I went on to YouTube just to kind of see if anybody else was doing something similar.
There's tons of people that do it.
So, but like in the same voice that I'm doing it.
Nobody does.
So that's the thing, right? Is like I get on and I'm just searching for stuff.
Yeah, it's all.
Dude, there was this one where I was like, okay, Glamdring. That's a badass sword, right? And so, it's supposed to be about this, okay? And so I click on it, and it's a picture of a fucking sword with somebody talking, not moving, not a video. It's not even a picture of a person or a video of a person. It's a picture of a sword with somebody voiceovering, and it's today. We're gonna talk about Glamdring. I'm like, oh my god! And this person had like 24,000 viewers.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens.
I don't know how it happens. To be honest, I've probably seen it because I go into like these like YouTube polls, right? And it's just like the algorithm knows what I want. Like I've been watching Jim Gaffigan videos lately, and so it's just like every day I get like something.
Just all the Gaffigan.
Yeah. Or like Family Feud videos.
Okay.
Like Steve Harvey doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so like I've seen them. There's one on there that I like, and like the guy, I forget the name of the channel, but like the guy does like the history, like the entire history of like the first age.
Okay.
And so he'll talk about it, but they're all very serious, right?
Right.
It's more of like it's like someone reading you Tolkien Gateway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like
that's a great way to put it.
So like the entry was like first age, right? This is
Right.
guy reading it to you. Not that it's bad, like I enjoy it.
Right. And you get to learn about it and without reading.
Yeah. I do like when he talks about the Valar. All the female Valar are kind of scantily clad in his videos.
Well, yeah. I mean, who's drawing them?
Guys.
Yeah. And usually it's
like cleavage here.
Yeah.
Like some like it's a cutout. It's like a diamond cutout on her dress in her chest.
Yeah.
For no reason.
And
then like a super high.
Yeah. It's the same people that are drawing video game characters.
Yeah.
You know, like.
I saw a good video about the music of the Iron.
Okay.
So it was the annual delay. And so I watched it after I watched your video. And like the guy's got like this super like epic like CGI, like
I think I
music.
saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I saw something like a video that.
Yeah, it's probably like 10 minutes.
Okay.
And that's the other thing about the videos, right? It's like, I told my friend at work about Feanor's a dick,
Right.
Right. And I warned her. I was like, just so you know. She's like, oh, I'll watch it on the way home. And she's like, just so you know,
It's
like,
45 minutes
It's an
long.
hour long. She's like, I'll listen to it as I walk. And so that's good. Like I like that. It's more podcasting, right?
Right.
Instead of just like, here's 12 minutes on the first stage. Like, okay, there's more than 12 minutes on the first stage.
And like you
right?
said, you're basically at that point, in my opinion, at that point, you are just reading Tolkien Gateway.
Right.
Like that's really what you do.
Yeah. I mean, but if you do it right,
Right.
it can be interesting. Like I like reading that kind of shit.
Yeah, so do I.
I'll read Wikipedia pages.
Yeah.
On random fucking things.
Yeah.
So it's like
I get it.
can do that.
Yeah. But like, I guess in my mind, and like I know I haven't been doing this for very long, right? This is going to be my third video on this. But like I see that, and I'm just like I don't know how some of these things have 24,000 followers.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know either.
It just baffles me. I was literally 15 seconds into this video, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like I love this stuff, but I can't.
Oh, I've done it on several things.
Yeah.
I've nerded out on so much stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a YouTube channel like Star Wars theory, right? And it's just like the guy who posts videos, and he does really good like videos. Like he does really good productions. And he actually made like he made a Darth Vader like mini feature film.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and like I think he got the backing of either like Disney or like Lucas or something like that. Like,
Wow.
he got the okay on it, right? But there was a little bit of kind of like tension with it. So like he put on a really good video.
Huh.
And like there's some people who just dedicate their like that's their job. Right?
Yeah.
Is they just do this. And like I saw him and he's got a Cobra Kai theory video.
Oh, okay.
So it's like he kind of switches to like whatever like.
Well, that's like
But I mean that's if your niche is that kind of
talking about
geeky,
things like that.
like like view theory stuff, right? Like oh, what's this preview? Like there's when Game of Thrones was a thing,
Right.
people were like on the preview for the next week. They're like, let's break it down. What did we see? Like what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Didn't they have a full show about that?
Yeah, they have like full on shows.
Yeah.
And as the series is coming to an end, you're going like, what are these people gonna do when this
Yeah.
is done?
And look, I get that. Like, I listen to a Marvel podcast, a Marvel Cinematic Universe one, because like Marvel comics, I love Marvel comics, but like, if I can't listen to like a comic podcast. There's way too much. Like that world is way too big because there's a billion universes in that world, right? But the cinematic universe, like I love that.
Yeah.
And I listen to these two guys, and they do that same thing. They speculate. Like, and you go back like 3 seasons, you're like, these guys were way fucking wrong on everything, but it's fun.
It's fun as you're in. It's more of a like, you enjoy it more as you're in it type of thing, right? And that's what those channels are. And I think we kind of like segued really far from what it originally was, but these Lord of the Ring channels, there's only like a handful that I've seen, and it's more just kind of like history.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and like so, there's one that there's a podcast that I follow that I really enjoy for what it is, and it's called the Unexpected Podcast. Wow, that was really hard. Sorry, as in late. Unexpected Podcast. And Ez actually does a few different ones. So he does like a Swish and Flick for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And he does like a Star Wars one. And he's got a few others. I haven't listened to any of his other ones because those universes just aren't something I dive into. I've seen all the Star Wars. I've seen all the Harry Potters. I just don't get like into them. And they do a really good job, but their Lord of the Rings podcast is it's a book club.
Yeah.
So they read a chapter and they talk about the chapter, and I love that. Like it was great. Like I found it when I started reading the books again once quarantine hit.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was like, well, I got time, so
I know I'm kind of mad because I have you've seen it, so I have the really nice hardcover.
That beautiful one.
Yeah, it's the entire, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Book 1, 2, and 3, one bound. And so I never read that one because it's too nice, right?
Right.
I don't want to get it all messed up. And so I finally bought some I had an old paperback one, which was the same thing, like all 3 books bound into one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so I was just like,
I don't think I've seen that in paperback.
The all bound into one.
Yeah.
I had it, I bought it after the movies came out.
Oh, okay.
And so I had the cover from the movies. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna buy them again, right? So I bought The Hobbit, and I was like, I'm just gonna start at the beginning. And I actually started with The Hobbit as the beginning,
right?
Because the Silmarillion, is just way too much.
Yeah, starting at the beginning with the Silmarillion is just gonna take a while.
And that's how I started it, right? Was with The Hobbit, and I always told people I was like it took me 4 years to read The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because I started reading because I read The Hobbit, and The Hobbit reads really quickly.
Right.
It's like, was it chapter 4? You're already in some action, right?
Yeah.
It's
you're not in the Shire for 30 years.
Yeah. and it's like the entire first. What is it? It's volume. Is it volume? It's book 1, right?
There's 6 books.
There's 6 books, right?
Yeah.
So book 1 is up until it's not even. Is it the Council of Elrond where book 1 ends, or or does book 2 pick up at the Council of Elrond?
I think book 2 picks up at the Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not even.
No.
You're not even
Even,
starting.
yeah. You're not to Rivendell yet.
You're not even starting the Fellowship.
No.
Right.
Yeah. What
And
the
so
book is called, mind you.
Right. You're not even starting that until the second book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, I was in high school and like, no really patience, right, to read something like that. And it's just like,
we all had better things to do.
and it's just like, oh, another poem. Like I have to get through another poem. I was like, oh man. So it took me 4 years to read the first one because it's just like I put it down and I was like, I should really read it. And I read it and I was like, just get through it. And then I got through it, and then once you get through it, you get to the Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
And you start.
You're in.
You're in, and it's just like, but it's just a big hump to get through it. Right?
Yeah.
And then the Silmarillion is just like.
So that brings that's a good thing though. Like one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and this is why I wanted to have this before we did our character profile that we're going to do, is so you said The Hobbit. That was your first intro to Tolkien. Like what brought that about? Like what was that?
I think my brother told me about it.
Okay.
I actually texted him. I was like, hey, he's the big reader of the family, right? I was like, I'm pretty sure you got me into Lord of the Rings. And I can't remember if you got me into Lord of the Rings first or The Hobbit. He's like, well, I've read The Hobbit. I was like, oh, it's probably you. You probably just told me to read it. And so.
Was that in high school too?
Yeah, that was probably like my freshman year.
Okay.
So I started those back freshman year in high school, and then I finished it before the movies came out. Finally got through Lord of the Rings, finished it before the movies came out. And the movies come out, and like they're just perfect.
Yeah.
Like there's
right.
You can't redo them.
No.
You know, everyone like talks about it. And I'm on all these like Reddit threads for it.
Right.
It's like, yeah, don't touch it.
There's so many other
remake.
No, and there's so many other stories that like you don't need to.
No.
You don't need to touch that.
No, it's good the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch it. I love the meme where it's like it's from the Steve Jobs movie. Where it's like, show me the real.
Oh, the real.
And it's like, perfection.
Yeah.
And then it's just like it's all three like series. It's like trilogies, right? Like one trilogy, another trilogy, and then the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Right?
Which is just
perfection.
It can't be touched.
You can't touch it. And then ever since like when the movies came out, I was just super into it because it's like now you can kind of put flesh to characters.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have them, you know how they are in the book, and for the most part, the movie was pretty true to the book. Right. And there were things that were missing, like Bombadil. And how do you can't fit you can't fit as much as you would want to from the books. Right. And
let's be real, like Bombadil doesn't add to the story that much. Like he's a cool piece of the Legendarium and like the mythology, but like he doesn't really add to the story.
Well, it's like Glorfindel, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that rescues Frodo.
Right.
Right?
And like he's great to know about if you know anything about the early ages. Right. But like in the Lord of the Rings, it's like
yeah.
I mean, he rescues Frodo, and that's great, and that's cool. But like the fact that they put Arwen in as that person, I think fit really well.
Yeah, it fit, and
and it gave somebody a good it gave a strong female character right at the beginning.
Yeah. But I do remember like even back then, right? You still have like a bunch of like people like they're just putting in they've been saying that forever. It's just a woman to make him appease this. It's still a fantasy, right? Like that's the thing with like the Lord of the Rings, right? I know it's a fantasy. Like, I know it's not real,
right?
But it's nice to pretend. Right?
Yeah,
nice to pretend
that's why we do it, right?
It's like that's why like one of the books that I have is an Atlas of Middle Earth.
Yeah,
right. And
I know that land doesn't exist.
I'm like, and like I was just reading it today. Or like going through it, and there's the author has a foreword. She's like, I've always loved maps as a kid. I was like, I'm the same way. Like I'd always draw like fake like fantasy islands, right?
Right.
And it's like, oh, this is what's going on here.
Yeah.
Right. Just in my head. So like I like that stuff, and like So there's things that I like about it.
Yeah.
And it's just like I like that, like being able to like picture like the land and like where everything is, just kind of geographically too. It's kind of nice.
So it's funny. I didn't read any of the books until I was in college.
You started with the Silmarillion.
I started with the Silmarillion.
Yeah. That's the hard way to
Yeah.
capture it.
But the reason why I started with that is because I was working a job where I was always driving. And so I technically didn't read the Silmarillion first. I listened to it, which is easier than reading it, for sure. But I was going to college, and our library had the 12-disc Silmarillion.
Yeah.
And this was at the time of pirating the fuck out of things. So I took it home and I ripped it and put it on my iPod. And then I just listened to it when I was driving around, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. So I was like, okay, let's get into this thing. But I did. So my very first intro to Tolkien though was when I was 6, because it was the can't remember the company name. Raskin, something like that. Yeah, The Hobbit. Yeah. Because my grandparents had it on fucking Laserdisc, 3-pound DVD.
Yeah.
But
our school had that. For
yeah. And I remember I watched it and it scared the hell out of me, but I loved watching it. Yeah. Gollum was terrifying in that.
I don't think I didn't watch that until much later.
Okay.
Until YouTube was a real thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And you could just go on YouTube.
You just go and find it. It's oh, I've never seen this. So oh, I should watch it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. No, it is. And it's fun and but all late 70s, early 80s children's thing, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's scary as hell. Matt and I were talking about that with things like Dark Crystal and Legend and Last Unicorn. All of those things, they were all 80s shows for kids, right? And they were fucking scary. They were really scary. But that was kind of my first thing into it. But yeah, I didn't read anything until much. That's gonna get picked up.
That's Oakland.
Yeah.
You can't tell we're filming from
Oakland. But we were talking about Lord of the Rings. So I figure I'll just go right into that. One of the other questions was, out of the Lord of the Rings, let's see if you take The Hobbit out of it. So just that 6 books. Favorite character?
Favorite character out of all the Lord of the Rings?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. I don't know if I do.
Take your time. I can edit this down.
Yeah, I leave it. Everyone loves dead air.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard because it's you know what I think I send you these memes more than anybody, right? Or more than anything else, are the Boromir.
Yeah.
Memes, right? Yeah. I honestly think Boromir is my favorite character in the entire book, because he does have a bit of a redemption arc at the very end, right? And he goes the way he would have wanted to go, his character would have wanted to go. He knows he fucked up.
This is why we're friends.
Yeah. He knows he fucked up, and he realizes that, and then he does everything he can to protect Merry and Pippin.
Yeah.
Right? And even as he's got and this is more the movie, right? The movie kind of fills this in because you don't really know, but you don't really know it because in the book, Aragorn just finds him with arrows.
Right. There's definitely some creative art or
artistic
license there.
But I like to think
that
that's exactly how he went. Because why else would he? And he was Gondorian, right? So that means he had a little bit of Numenorian in him.
Yeah.
Not to he wasn't Numenorian.
Right.
Right. But he had that lineage. And so but he's still a lesser man.
Right.
And so the sway of the ring, he wanted to he wanted to bring it back. He wanted to help his people.
Right.
Right. He was doing it.
It was good intentions.
It was good intentions, but like the ring's just evil and it corrupts you.
Yeah.
And I think Sean Bean, like this is why you can't
because they're perfect.
remake it, right? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Like his acting in that scene where he where he trips and falls and then he just kind of comes out.
Good.
It's just like he knows he fucked up.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Right? And it's just perfect. And then just hearing that like horn blow, like I know everyone like on the Reddit threads, they always like, oh, I get chills when I see like the Rohirrim, like in the third movie.
And you hear yeah,
and it's like yeah, that that's good, but like when you hear that horn blow,
oh yeah,
as he's coming into like as he's fighting off all these Uruk-hai, I think Boromir.
Yeah.
Boromir's my.
So I've honestly never asked you that before. I had no idea, but same. Boromir's my favorite character, and it's for the exact same reason. So it's the same thing as like, I think people will fight me about this, but like in Chronicles of Narnia, Edmund is my favorite character.
I don't think I've ever read that.
He's the only one that goes through any sort of like arc.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've never read it and if you've never cared to or whatever, like he does some bad shit.
Yeah.
Like he turns his family over to the Ice Queen. Like he full on betrays his family, and he comes out of it the other side as a better person and everything. And it's the same idea as like Boromir is just. He is the human that we all want to be, right? Because we all fuck up, he's that person that we all want to be. We want to be the guy at the end that's fighting with 4 arrows in them to save somebody else because we know that this is how we do it. This is how it's supposed to be done.
And so you have like, I mean, Aragorn is. It's just hard to relate to. Aragorn's a great character, right? And he's got a great story. Like if you go through like his history, right, his biography, it's fantastic, right?
Right.
You could do an entire series.
Oh yeah.
Aragorn,
which a lot of people thought that's what the Amazon series was going to be.
Yeah. Unless you get Viggo Mortensen to do it, and he probably would.
Yeah, right. He's way too old.
Yeah, he's too old. Yeah. But like we can't, and that's why you can't replace him.
Yeah.
Or you can't redo it. He's just too perfect, right?
Right.
He's just like, just was able to like control the Palantir. Like he's destined to.
Yeah, because that's something that that they kind of get wrong in the movie, right?
Yeah.
When he holds on to the Palantir, it like affects him.
Yeah.
But in the book, he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna use this, and I'm gonna show the motherfucker my sword and be like, I'm coming for you."
Right.
Right. And that's not something that we get, but it is. It's almost like this. I mean, he's like Captain America.
Yeah.
Right, where it's just like you're
like
too
Superman,
much.
right? And
Also,
that's the problem with like going to like the comic book side of things. Like that's why it's hard to make a really good Superman film, right?
Right.
Regardless of like the characters, right? Like Henry could, Cavill, whatever.
Yeah. That beautiful man.
He's too good looking.
Yeah. He's perfect in too many ways. However, I was actually telling Ariel that I think he would be a pretty good Melkor.
He might be.
Like, he'd be a pretty sick Melkor.
Yeah. I think the character is just hard to relate to.
Yeah.
Superman is hard to relate to.
Right.
He's a god among men, essentially.
Right.
Right?
And the way that he's written in the book, Aragon is very similar.
Yeah.
The
only like Superman thing that ever really worked, like in recent times, is Smallville.
Right.
Because
he's a kid stumbling through life.
He's stumbling through being Superman.
Yeah.
And so he's still like an all-powerful god, and that's what he's gonna end up as.
Right.
But he's still a fucking teenager.
He's more like a Spider-Man character in Smallville because he's a kid trying to deal with regular problems and not this, like you said, God among men type of thing. So my next one, and this one's going to be probably even more difficult, but throughout throughout the Silmarillion, what would you consider like your favorite story?
I don't know. I do like. This might be just too easy, but I do like Genesis, right?
Yeah.
And so I just like the beginning.
You like the Anil Indale?
Yeah. I mean, I like knowing how things are made.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is like honestly,
I like watching how it's made.
how it's made
Yeah.
on Discovery Channel.
I'll watch it on YouTube, and
Yeah.
like, Melissa turns and sees that I'm watching it, and she'll, roll her eyes. So I like the first few books about, from the
Like the Anil Indale, the Valaquinta.
yeah. So I like knowing like
origins.
how all that stuff came to be.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it took me a while to get really into that one, and it was more me reading the appendices from the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, because pretty sure that's where he kind of based the Silmarillion.
Yeah, that's kind of the intro to. I think that's the intro to a lot of people to like the First and Second Age.
Yeah.
Is you get a little bit of like, oh, there was stuff before.
Oh yeah. I mean, my progression with Lord of the Rings was read The Hobbit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loved The Hobbit. Started Lord of the Rings, couldn't finish it.
Right.
Right. Decided, I'm gonna give it another try. Went through it. Got to the appendices, and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And so then I just like stopped. I was like, I read a little bit.
Right.
Stopped. Because I do like a family. I might be a Hobbit.
Because you like the family trees
I like the family
and
trees.
maps.
Yeah, family trees and maps. So I might be a Hobbit. I do have hairy feet.
That also,
So-
yes. All right.
So,
all right.
But then, and then I'd reread it at intervals, right? The Lord of the Rings. And every time I'd reread it, I'd be like, all right, I need to go a little bit more to the appendices. Or I'd go straight to the appendices, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to start rereading it again.
Yeah.
And so then, as I reread it more, I kind of get more into it. And then I think eventually, it took me a while to get to the Silmarillion. And so I've only probably read the Silmarillion maybe 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time probably didn't really sink in.
Yeah. I think it does it for anybody.
Yeah.
Like.
For mine, I don't know. You're
Yeah.
the one that read it first.
Yeah.
As your first foray.
Right, and even that, like, I can guarantee you, like, there was a lot of stuff that I remembered moving forward, but, like, reading it again the next time, I was like, oh, okay.
But it's broken up. It's broken up as stories, right? So
Right.
it's kind of hard to read it as a book, like The Lord of the Rings, right? It's more of a compendium of short stories that kind of relate to each other and to, like, what's...
Well, and that's what it
relate
was,
to,
right?
Relate to the Silmarillion.
So, like, the Book of Lost Tales, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It was elves telling, I think his name was Ariel, something like that, a man that made it to the Lonely Island. And it was the elves telling these stories, right? So it was like the story about Beren and Luthien, the story, and it wasn't connected in any way. And then, at the end, he was trying to create this connective thing all the way
history,
through.
right?
Yeah, it's history. By the way, he says that he likes the Anil Indale, but he also says that it's propaganda.
It is propaganda. It is. Well, I reread it, and then I can't remember if it was a video that I saw, or maybe someone had made a comment about it, right? About the music being a metaphor.
Right.
Because, like, well, how do you really make music? And actually, I was thinking about it again today. We'll segue after this.
Okay.
But yes, it is propaganda. I think it's propaganda, right? It's man-wave propaganda.
Yeah, elven manway propaganda.
Elven man-wave propaganda. Right? Because you said in your video that man-way's the perfect one, right?
Right.
He was never strayed. And
Well,
he was
but
never,
but
he
that's
was
a
never
problem,
swayed
too.
to Melkor, right?
I
But I'm like,
do.
Tulkas never really trusted Melkor, right?
Right.
He's the one that was able to beat him.
That's true.
And so, like, maybe it was just Manwë was just a little better politician, and that's why he was in charge of the Valar, right? Or he was the oldest.
But you do look at how like naive he was at times too.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean,
they're all naive.
Yeah, like I said,
they're all naive, and this is my segue, right? Is they were shown the vision of Arda,
right,
and of Middle Earth, and they saw the children, they saw the firstborn of Ilúvatar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you knew they were coming, right? And so I was because I was rereading, I was going through the Atlas, and the Atlas has like little stories. Like, you know, this is the first. You know,
this is what it looked like at the beginning.
Right. This is what the beginning. This is the background of it. This is what happened, right? And so then like Melkor came, and then he scared them away to Arda.
Right.
And you know they're in Arda,
Aman.
Right. Scared them away to Aman. They built the Fjord Mountains, right?
Right.
And then to keep
everything
Melkor
out.
away,
yeah,
because they're scared of Melkor.
They're like mountains of glass,
but it's like,
or whatever.
if you're doing that, then you're leaving the elves and
yeah.
the men
yeah.
for Melkor,
right?
Right? And it's like, oh yeah, then ages pass is how it goes, and then the firstborns were awoken, and then Melkor was able to get to them first. Of course, Melkor was able to get to them first. You ran away,
right? And that was part
of. You can't build a mountain in between you and Melkor
across an ocean.
Yeah, across an ocean with the children and then protect them.
Right.
I mean, you don't get to the rest of the stories.
Right. But over. Again, that's something that like,
right?
I see it as in the best way that I can find to explain it. And I can't remember if I said this in the video, but like when they're shown that vision, I can only imagine that it is like, it's a vision without time.
Yeah.
Like outside of time, right? So it's just like all of this, because when they get down, they are kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah, because there's nothing there. You're like, this is not what I saw. Yeah. Like, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah. And they have to build it all, and they realize that that's that's what they're there for, and all of that.
They don't know when they're going to be awoken.
Right.
So you can't wait forever.
Right. And they don't know where either. Yeah. Like, that's the other problem.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Like, they don't know where it's going to happen. So,
but still.
Yes.
Give them a fighting chance.
Right. And then again, like the whole idea of, I do just love the idea of, we're gonna chain Melkor for 3 ages, and after those 3 ages, he's not gonna hold it against us.
He'll be fine.
Like, it'll be, look, he says he's fine.
He's reformed.
Yeah. No. He hates you. Like, I don't know. That part I love, but at the same time, like, that shows the massive ignorance of Manwë, because like damn it, Mondos, I was trying to remember his real name because that's not his actual name, that's where he lives. Nodor? Starts with an N. Yeah. Because Lorien, his brother, also not his name. I love that they're brothers and they're both called where they live.
I mean, they're all from Ilúvatar, so how are they all not?
I know, right? Like, that's the other thing. But it's the same as like the gods. You see like Hades, Zeus, and Poseidon as like the brothers, right? And then like others from there. Right. But at least that's how I see it. But anyway, you've got Mandos and like Tolkas and these other guys saying like, this is a bad idea, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't let him go. And he's like, nah, he's fine. Like,
he's my brother.
Yeah, he's my brother. He said we're cool.
He's not heavy.
Yeah. And no, Melkor is just an asshole, and he always will be. And that's just how it is.
Manwë is Austin Powers to Melkor's Doctor.
Yeah, and he just constantly like.
That's the tagline for the video.
Like, oh yeah, boom. that'll be that first part.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've got another question. Oh, so we can go off of offshoots too. So don't think of just like the strict ones that you can think of that most people think of offhand. But if we're talking like races of Middle Earth, what is like yours?
What's my race?
Yeah.
I think we already talked about it. I think I'm a hobbit.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, think about it.
I know.
Eating.
It's the best life.
Drinking beer, right?
And like they do. So they.
I have second breakfast all the time. That's why I'm here at the gym.
But so this is the problem though. So here's the issue, because I do know you too. You would have a lot of Tukish in you. And the reason why I say that is because you don't necessarily love burying your head in the sand. And hobbits love that.
Yeah.
Hobbits don't like to think about the outside world. So I think a hobbit is good.
Yeah.
I think, but you're gonna have a little bit of that Tuk side.
I'm more of a Baggins. Because I can be a little like, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
We
don't need any adventurers around here.
Yeah, it's very much so, you know, the Tuk side that ends up coming out sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it has to.
Yeah,
right?
it's gotta be hobbits. I mean, what else is there? I'm not really dwarvish. I'm not an elf.
Yeah.
They're
I think very few of us are.
Yeah, they're solemn. They're described as solemn, but yet they're always singing in the books.
Right.
Right?
And let's face it, anybody who's read the Silmarillion, we know they're all assholes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because what is it? It's Ingwe?
Thingol?
Ingwe.
Thingol. Or his brother.
No.
Ingwe.
Ingwe's the... So there's three...
Oh, is Ingwe...
He's the High King of all the elves. So he leaves and he goes to Valinor, and he never goes back to Middle Earth. He's the High King of all the... So it's... I forget what it was. Oh, because they're all assholes. Yeah. So him, and then Fenway, and so like if you read the story about how they got to be their numbers, he thought that there were going to be more elves, because like they'd find a group of elves, and then like someone's like, oh, I'm going to take these elves, right?
Right.
And so then his numbers were like, so he picked up like the first batch of like elves,
Right.
that they found that they were his group of people, and there's like I think 12 of them or something.
Right.
And then Fenway was the second. And so he found like another group of elves, and it was like double that.
Right.
And then the third group, which is Thingol.
Thingol and his brother, who actually ends up taking them.
Yeah. Who ends up taking them, right?
Yeah.
He found like the biggest group of them.
Right.
And so like Ingwe thought like, oh, I'm gonna find more after him.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be even more than everybody, and then I'm gonna have the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. They are all.
They are.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
They're all just greedy assholes.
Yeah, and it's that idea. Like I honestly feel like
I get why the dwarves don't like them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like part of it is like part of the problem is that they are immortal.
Yeah.
And so they don't have the concerns that a lot of other people do. Now, yes, they do have the curse of the weight of the world getting to them over time, right? And
they're tied to Arda.
So right.
Their fate is tied to.
And so it's this idea of like, yeah, over time they're going to be kind of drawn down and dragged out and feel lesser, right? But still, they are immortal. And because of that, they can kind of be dicks, like a lot.
Yeah.
Again, because of that, because they are immortal.
Because what are you gonna do? Hold a grudge forever?
Right. Well, and they automatically, like the idea of being immortal automatically in their mind sets them above all other races.
Yeah.
Right? That I cannot die unless I am killed. Yeah. Sickness doesn't affect me, hunger doesn't affect me, sleep doesn't affect me, like all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And so fuck you little bugs who have to eat every day and all of that stuff. And like that is really kind of their curse.
Yeah.
And it's kind of their downfall. And like you said, like I can see why the dwarves are like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Because not only that, but the dwarves are like they're the step kids, like
they weren't even supposed to be.
They weren't wanted.
Yeah, they weren't wanted. Yeah,
like,
they're the redheaded stepchildren.
They were thrust upon Iluvatar.
Yeah. We'll get into that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like The Hobbit. And, like, let's be completely honest. Like, I think most people, if they really thought about what race they would like to be in Middle-earth, it would be a Hobbit.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
if you're asking, like, what race would you want to be? Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to be a Hobbit?
Right.
I mean,
look.
You might want to be, like...
Mayas are cool. I'm down with a Maya.
You know, I wouldn't mind being, you know, a Rohirrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, a Númenorian in like one of the first like ages of Númenor.
In the golden years.
Yeah, like that'd be pretty fucking cool.
That would be cool. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that more.
I know. There were so many things, like I said, I'm listening to Baron and Luthien right now, and I know that's not what they're doing, but they could do, I mean, I know that they're scheduled...
Could do a flashback.
Well, not only that, but like they're scheduled for a ton of seasons, right? So they could, I mean, if they have the rights...
So Reddit threads are losing their mind, by the way.
Because of the nudity bullshit? Nobody said anything! They didn't actually say anything! It was one asshole article that like speculated on shit.
Because they're hiring an intimacy counselor.
Which can be anything!
Yeah, someone's like, yeah, it's like if you're kissing.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because...
If I stare at you longingly, I'm gonna need somebody to train me on that shit.
It's just like, chill.
Yeah, I actually
the memes are funny.
Yeah,
but it's just like
on my Unexpected Podcast Facebook group, the people were losing their. I can't believe Amazon would do this. Why would you? I'm like, they're not doing anything, guys. Yeah. Like there's read the article that it came from. First of all, it was from the OneRing.net, which is awful, and they're always making shit up. And like, secondly, that's who it was from, right?
I don't.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what it's from. I might have to take that out. But yeah, I don't want to. What's it called?
Lose.
No, I don't care about that. I don't want to commit.
Slander.
Yeah, slander.
That would be the end of the channel.
Yeah, right. Just right there, it's done. But. Like, it was one article that, like, it would say, it said on it, facts. And then it, like, the only one that was actually, like, verified was that they hired an intimacy. Yeah. Everything else was facts. We might think. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, it's stupid.
My favorite one is, what is it? It's Sam, you know, this would, you know, the potatoes.
Titties.
Yeah, this one's gonna need some titties. Yeah. And then it's Boromir, and it's like, what is it? Lord of the Rings needs no titties.
Like I said, like, so people are like, oh,
I totally ruined that shit.
People are like, oh, because of HBO and Game of Thrones and The Witcher and all this. It's like, they're completely different. Those things started that way. Yeah. The Witcher was already like that. Game of Thrones was already like that.
George R.R. Martin has said that, like, he's drawn inspiration from Lord of the Rings, but his thing with the Lord of the Rings, and I may be paraphrasing right, is that it's not real enough.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to have, like, those...
Don't get me on George R.R. Martin, though. Like, with the way that he talks about Tolkien.
Slander.
I know. But with the way that he talks about, like, Tolkien's writings and stuff like that, because he says stuff like that it's not real enough. Yeah. I'm like, yes, maybe with the Lord of the Rings, but read the fucking Silmarillion.
Yeah.
Because that shit is real. Like, read the Children of Húrin and tell me that's not some dark, real shit. Like, incest, like accidental incest, fucking murder all over the place, killing your best friend, killing an entire village, and then jumping on your own goddamn sword that can talk, mind you. Like, yeah, anyway, I love that story.
Yeah, that is a good story.
It is the saddest story.
Yeah.
I just don't think, look, Amazon has done so Amazon with The Boys is very violent, very like sexually graphic, all of that stuff, right? But again, that's how it was done. Amazon with Good Omens, which is also a book to TV series, and it's a newer one. They just barely put it out. There's no nudity in it. Yeah, there are some graphic part and they're like swearing and stuff, but there's nothing. There's even sex in it, but it's not shown.
Yeah.
Right. And so
it's not titties.
Right. So they've proven that they can take a book that has no like sexually explicit content and fucking keep it that way.
Yeah.
Like you can tell just
you can judge it. I think this is the problem with a lot of things, right? Is everything gets judged before it's made.
Right.
Right. And I get it. Like there are people who are very like, you know, I wouldn't consider myself like I'm not Colbert.
Right. That's what I always say. Like when people talk to me, I'm like, I know a decent amount. I probably know more than most.
Yeah.
I am not Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, I am not Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
I could not like, if by some miracle you were able to get him here, right? That would be awesome.
Oh my God.
First of all,
that'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But I think he would melt your face.
Yeah.
Raiders of the Ark style.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Just
style.
open it up,
Yeah.
and it would just.
And he would just go, and then you would just there you wouldn't be able to absorb what he's telling you.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that much. Right.
No.
But there are people who do. Like, he's not the only one. Right. And so like there are people who are just like, you know, like you can't. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so much a part of their lives that I get why they would get upset about. You know, trashing it. Right. And to a certain extent, like.
But calm the fuck down and let it happen first.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it is. It's just like. There is absolutely no information at all that should lead you to believe that is going to happen to this beloved series that you have. Yeah. You know, like I understand.
It could be the best thing ever.
Right.
Like I loved The Hobbit. Right.
Yeah.
That they made. I think the trilogy was a little excessive. Right. Making it into a trilogy. I think 2 films is what he originally wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Money grab, but
money grab. And it was good. I enjoyed it.
Speaking of that, I'm going to interrupt you really quick. Have you seen the extended version of the Battle of 5 Armies?
Do I have it? I might have it.
So the weapon that the dwarves use on the elves, that little thing that they like catapult out and it spins.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch it again.
Dude! I had never seen the extended version. Like, I had just seen the theatrical, and then I watched the extended just recently, and that part of the fight, I was like, it happens, I'm like, this didn't happen, oh my God! Like,
that's why I love the extended.
Fucks up some elves, man.
Because I bought the theatrical versions when they first came out on DVD, right? And then they're like, oh, now we got the extended. I'm like, I gotta buy that.
Right.
So I have like a...
One must.
Yeah, so I have like I think it's like 4 discs
of the
4
Hobbit
DVDs.
ones.
No.
Do you have the books? Like they look like books. That's what I have. Yeah. It's 4 because there's 2 of the movies and then 2 appendices.
2 like just like behind the scenes.
Right, but they call them appendices. Yeah.
Because and then I think one of them. Have you seen the Easter egg for the Lord of the Rings one?
I have not delved like deep into the behind the scenes stuff.
No, it's not behind the scenes.
Oh,
so it's in the first disc of the movie, and you have to go to like the chapters. Mm-hmm. If you go to the chapters and then you do like left or right, I forget what it is. You can look it up. For the Council of Elrond scene, you get the Jack Black, Sarah Michelle Gellar skit that they did for MTV.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So it's pretty funny. I always like finding those Easter eggs. No, so I think I have. I know I have the Hobbit movies.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to that. You like the Hobbit. I agree. Yeah. I actually like the movies.
So I like the movies. The only thing I didn't like about the movies is compared to the first one, there was clearly more. The first one was more like a labor of love, right?
Right.
Like he was like the costumes were like
right.
You know, everything was just perfect, right? And the graphic and the special effects were more real world special effects.
And that's what killed it for me.
And then a lot of the Hobbit was very much CGI.
Yeah.
And they had CGI in the Lord of the Rings, right? Like the scene with Legolas on the back of the elephant.
Yes. And the Nazguls and they even had some.
You have to do that.
Right. And they even had some weird ass CGI. I always think of the Legolas scene where he goes onto the horse.
Oh yeah.
Like, what? Who would ever mount a horse like that?
Yeah. It'll rip your arm off. You know, but like him sliding down the stair scene, like surfing, right? That I love that scene.
It was practical.
And that was practical.
And the orcs.
Like,
the orcs being practical.
Yes,
they were being
practical,
like,
yes.
It wasn't.
You could have easily had, I forget his name.
The Azog.
Azog.
Yeah, the Defiler.
Yes, Azog.
And the thing is the guy who plays him is jacked. Like, I know that, like, that actor, he's on, I don't know if you've ever watched any Spartacus. But
he's not Spartacus.
He's not Spartacus. He's one of the other gladiators. But, like, the dude's jacked. Like, they could easily have put him in prosthetics and made him Azog.
Yeah.
And they just didn't.
They didn't. For anybody.
Right.
Like the Goblin King.
Yeah.
They could have gotten a guy.
Yeah.
There's plenty of guys that look like that. Right? And that was the one thing that just kind of was just like, you could have done it. And then there was the one scene with like Legolas running across the bridge that's falling down, right?
Yeah.
That was just a little, it was a little too much.
Yeah.
There are things in there that were just like, you know.
But like story-wise, I'm perfectly okay with the liberties that they took.
Yeah.
One, I'm actually really happy that they put the White Council in there because even though it's not in the book, it is happening.
Yeah.
Like that's canon.
Yep.
That is why Gandalf left.
Yep.
Was to go and do that.
Yep.
And so like I like that they put that in there. I thought that was really cool. Him going to some of the other places.
Yeah. You saw more of what's his name? Brown Wizard.
Radagast. Yeah, which was cool.
Yeah.
Like there are parts of it that like I'm okay with the liberties that they took in the story. Even Azog, because he was not in this. Like his part in The Hobbit was very, very little.
Yeah.
But like it was a good way to tell the story, right? To go through the entirety of the story. I thought it was good.
Wasn't it not even him though in The Hobbit?
No, so he ends up dying. Dane kills him at Moria.
Yeah. So it's somebody else in that role.
Yeah. Right? But I like what they did.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I thought the character was fine. Right?
Yeah. And I like what's her name, Evangeline Lilly.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck was her name in it?
I don't know. She was a new character.
I keep one. Yeah, she wasn't real.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
But I liked her in it. And I know the complaint of people saying, "Oh, they're just trying to put a female in a like big fucking deal," even if they are.
Yeah, Melissa likes the guy who was her love interest dwarf.
Killy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I forget his real name.
Oh, I have no idea.
Because he's in Poldark.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a BBC masterpiece.
I love that. Like, by the way, I love that the
you can edit that.
Durin sons. I love that Durin sons are the only dwarves that like look attractive, right? So you've got Killy, Philly, and Thorin.
Yeah.
And
they're the best looking ones.
And they're like
everyone else is kind of goofy.
Yeah, they're like sexy dwarves.
It is hard to watch it though, having watched The Lord of the Rings, and you know that Balin.
Oh, Balin, yeah. But another part of The Hobbit that I actually love is the singing that they put in it. I actually like that they did that because people thought it was going to be kind of campy, but I love the "Bend the Knot," you know, that like that was a cool song and I thought it was fun. The cleanup song.
Yeah, the cleanup song was good, but the one after that.
Oh, Misty Mountains. Oh so
God.
Good. When that trailer came out and it was to the and you hear,
yeah.
Dungeons deep and caverns old.
It's like, oh, like that gives you chills right there. Like that was fantastic. I thought the music was really fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then you can't like Benedict Cumberbatch is Smaug.
Have you gone through and watched him in like his motion capture suit being Smaug?
I haven't. I don't think I've watched.
Dude, it's so good.
The motion capture. I think I've watched him like doing the recording.
Oh, it is so
voice
good.
recording.
It is
I'm
so
sure.
good. He's like on the ground and like,
hilarious.
Dude, he does it. Like you're watching it and you kind of like, you're like, God damn, like this guy is in it.
If I could have one English friend.
Yeah, right. It'd be Benedict Cumberbatch.
It would be Benedict Cumberbatch because his name is Benedict
Cumberbatch. Can you be more British?
I wouldn't even have to tell people this is my British friend.
No.
It's like, oh, this is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's British.
Yeah, they could have never heard that name in their life, and they would know that he's British.
They wouldn't even have to know what British is, and they would still know that he's British.
But yeah, he does an amazing job as Smaug. And like, I'm sorry, like I feel like a lot of people were kind of bummed about Martin Freeman. I think he was an amazing Bilbo.
Yeah.
I thought he did so great.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the acting in it was fantastic. Honestly, the only person that I didn't like the acting from was Orlando Bloom. I feel like he just kind of mailed it in.
Yeah.
It was like, I guess I'll be Legolas again.
Yeah. And that was more of a, like, that was more to like tie it in.
Yeah, that was like, let's try to put these things together.
Because he would have been there.
Right. And that's like, again, that's a story.
He's not referenced in there.
Right, but that's again, like people make that like complaint that like, oh, it wasn't in the book. I'm like, you're telling me that his dad runs the place and he's not going to be a part of this?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Right.
But at least they kind of showed the elves for what they were in The Hobbit. More so than they did in The Lord of the Rings. They showed the elves as kind of pretentious assholes.
Yeah.
Whereas in Lord of the Rings, they were these like noble.
They're also different though.
Right, and they're different elves.
Those are different elves.
They are. I get that. They're the Mirkwood elves and they're different elves, and I understand that. But still, they're showing them as like, by the way, elves are kind of asses.
Yeah. They're more like Thingol.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to marry my daughter?
Yeah. All right, go get a Silmaril.
Yeah, go get a Silmaril.
And then afterwards, like, I fucked this guy up.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you want this necklace? Oh, no. This is my necklace.
Yeah. I love Thingol though. Like, it's
a good story.
Yeah, I actually really like.
I'm telling you, this is why I love that Atlas book.
Yeah.
Because it just like it has illustrations of like all these places.
Doriath, what's the other name though that they give it? Because Doriath is the kingdom, but the actual city, it means 1,000 caves.
It's not Nargothrond.
Nargothrond?
That's a different place.
Is that a different one?
Yeah.
That's where Finwë Philligon goes.
Yeah.
Is Nargothrond. Okay. All right. Anyway, I love Thingol's story. My problem with Thingol, and this was my issue with the Silmarillion when I very first started reading it, not when I listened to it, but when I decided to read it, was I got so confused with the names. Because not only are there a lot of names that sound the same, there are a lot of elves that have like 7 different names.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wait, this guy's him and this and also that.
This guy.
Yeah, and I'm like I'm getting really, and the way that they set up, the way that he sets up Thingol and Melian, and how it like talks about how they meet here, and then it doesn't mention them again until here.
Yeah.
And there's this giant gap of like, oh, and by the way, we told you about Thingol and Melian. I'm like, wait, is this the same person from clear back then? Because you haven't mentioned them at all since. So
that's why it's hard to read.
Yeah.
It's not a history. It's not a continuing story.
Right, until you get to the first kinslaying.
Yes.
Once you get to that point, that point on, you've got a nice story. Right? You've got this really nice continuous story of what
last long in Middle Earth.
No, that motherfucker. Yeah, good.
He's just like, I'm here, I'm not dead.
Yeah, because he thought he was gonna go up against Melkor. Like, come on. Like, even with the diminishing power of Melkor at that point, like, Like, Ungoliant just fucked Melkor up, nearly killed him, and you still couldn't take it out, fan.
I like how. I don't know if it was him, but one of the elves, I can't remember who, gave Melkor a limp that he would never.
It was
it Finarfin?
Finarfin, because he went and knocked on the fucking door. And he's like, "Come out! Like we're gonna do this. Like I'm done. We're gonna do this thing." Yeah, like he went there.
What's
and
that look like, by the way?
like going to
Like how big are they?
So that's the thing, right? Is like I've seen a lot of different like variations.
Yeah, I've seen it as like you see Finarfin, like little guy down here, and then just fucking Morgoth, just like giant thing, right? It's like, yeah, it's dumb. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I picture it though.
Yeah,
like I don't know. I mean even if you give it of him being like 20 feet tall,
like an ant,
like that's still pretty ridiculous.
like an ant.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not. There's no way because he took Ents and turned them to trolls, so he's gonna be bigger than a fucking Ent.
Why would you go up against them?
Because you're an elf. You're an immortal elf.
What's in it for them?
Yeah. I mean, like I love those stories, and honestly, so going all the way back, I would love to see a season of an Amazon story, like even if it's just like a 10-episode season of Beren and Luthien.
Yeah.
Because they're and not just the Beren and Luthien that's in the Silmarillion, but take from all of them. Like all of the iterations of Beren and Luthien have some really, really cool stuff in them. And if you took from all of those, it would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what the focus is going to be, right?
Right.
What's the ultimate story?
Well, what I'm hoping is that
because it's Second Age, right?
It's Second Age.
And so
Beren and Luthien is First Age.
Yeah. And so that's done. I mean, you could do it as a flashback, right? As a flashback thing.
Or why not just make multiple? Like you do 3 seasons of the Second Age with Numenor and stuff, and then jump into another season of another age.
Or you do 1 season of the First Age or the Second Age.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more interested. I would love to see Celebrimbor.
Yeah, making the rings.
And the forging of the One Ring.
Right.
That, I think.
I 100% think that that's going to be in this show.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, they're calling it Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine them not putting that in the show.
Yeah.
Like
unless it's a brand at this point, right?
Right. I guess it's true.
Right. Because it's
like
Star Wars, right?
Star
Wars.
And it's hard to make people excited that aren't nerds about Amazon Middle Earth series.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's okay. Like
the Silmarillion.
Yeah, people aren't gonna get stoked about that.
How do you say that?
But if you do say Lord of the Rings, everybody knows those.
Everybody knows.
Everyone.
It's a brand.
Yeah. So maybe it is that way.
Yeah.
But I see it as like if it's gonna be the Second Age, like you're gonna have Sauron in there. You're gonna have Celebrimbor in there. I mean, you're gonna have like a badass Glorfindel in there. Like, there's gonna be a lot of really cool stuff, and I hope that like Numenor isn't just like a fleeting thing. I hope that Numenor is like in this.
Well, that's what I think we talked about this, right? Because I think you kind of have to focus it. You can't focus it on the elves because again, it's that whole Superman thing.
Right.
They're immortal. Like they're gonna be around forever.
Right.
Right.
So let's instead focus on the men that fall. Like you said, like, because that's what we were talking about, right?
It's a redemption.
Yeah, and show them at the height of Numenor and then just that awful fall.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, just fucked up,
but
awful
it's hard,
fall.
But again, it's hard to do, right?
Right.
Because it's like these huge time jumps that you would have to take.
Yeah, I mean, it's thousands of years.
Right? So you kind of have to, and this is, we're going into theory now, right? About what the show's going to be.
Right.
Is kind of have to, if you're doing Numenor and you're doing it as a redemption, you can easily do it as a redemption story.
Right.
Picking up from, Ar-Pharazôn and the last king of Numenor.
Right. Right as that peak starts to happen and they
because
start.
you still have some good
And you've got the Black
Numenor,
Numenorians
right?
starting.
And
So you're basically saying, like, start it with,
started in that
like, Isildur's dad.
Yeah.
And I can never remember his name.
Elendil.
Yeah, Elendil. Not Earendil.
Not Arendil.
Yeah, Elendil.
Yeah.
Yeah, started with Elendil.
Yeah.
And then kind of move forward. That would make sense.
Yeah, because I forget his father.
Because then that would put you in the right time frame.
said-
So it would, like, if we want to see the creation, it would be like thousands, like at least 1,000 years before that.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is, I can't remember. I think there is some Numenorians who come to try to stop Sauron, and he's like, okay, I'm good. I won't do anything anymore, right?
Yeah. So there's I can't remember his name, but in the Unfinished Tales, it's Blank the Mariner. I can't remember his name, but he goes and helps Glorfindel a lot, and he takes people with him to go there and like make settlements and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to see the Forge of Luberon, I don't think it's going to happen because again, the time jumps that you'd have to do are too much, and like if you're not for the casual fan, right, who you're trying to attract,
Right.
you're not going to get them.
And that's easy to do with elves, but not with men.
Right.
Because elves aren't going to age much. But not with men.
You're right. So who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I am excited about it. No matter what, no matter what it is, give me more.
Yeah.
That's why I said I go on YouTube and I try to find things, or I try to find other podcasts and stuff, because I'm just like, give me more. That's how I am with CrossFit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like just give me all of the competitions. I'll watch all of
the
them.
competitions.
Yeah, I will watch all of them. I will do all the things. I will read all the books. So speaking of which, I got you. I don't have it because I ordered it, but I got you a present.
Oh.
I got you the Unfinished Tales.
Oh, nice.
Because you were saying that you don't have it yet, and that you haven't read it. And honestly, the shit in that is gold.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's so good. Some of my favorite things have come out of the Unfinished Tales, because it talks about
I was this close to buying it actually.
Oh, really?
I
It's
was I should probably buy it. Chris always talks.
It's so good. One of the best stories in it, and it's unfinished, right? All of them are unfinished. But one of the best stories in it is Gandalf's version of The Hobbit, which is just cool.
Yeah.
He is telling, and he specifically
Well,
says, I would tell this differently.
So you do know that there were two versions of The Hobbit, right?
Yes.
And so the first version is it's the story Bilbo tells to the dwarves,
Right.
about the ring,
Right.
right, and that he won it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he decided, I'm gonna roll this into and then it actually I like that story.
Yeah.
It makes it seem more like this has been a fluid.
Yeah.
It makes it more real.
So the
because it is real.
the whole part where in the movie, the starting of the second movie of the Desolation of Smaug, when he's meeting with Thorin and stuff, all of that comes from the Book of Lost Tales.
Where he's meeting with Thorin.
Yeah, where he meets him at the inn, and he tells him about the key and the map and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's briefly talked about in The Hobbit, very, very briefly talked about. But that scene actually comes from the Unfinished Tales, because it's Gandalf's version of what happened. So it's an amazing book. It's got some of the coolest shit in it. It's got the chapter on the Astari is fantastic. But yeah, it's so I got you that. They just came out with 3 new publications of different books. I think it's Unfinished Tales, The Silmarillion, and Children of Húrin. And so I got that one. It's a cool cover.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's
For which one?
For the Unfinished Tales.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like I had one more question. I'm trying to remember it. I think that's it.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I know, right? And we're gonna so I mean, you're gonna be the biggest reason why I wanted to do this was, one, I thought it would be fun to do an intro before we did our character profile one.
Yeah.
But two, like, you're going to be like a guest, but let's be honest, you're going to be on quite a few of these.
Oh, sweet.
And Ariel's going to be our moderator, so that we don't. I mean, we've been talking for
so that we don't like
an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, so that we don't like go on different tangents.
Right, because that
we need focus.
Yeah, because
We're
we'll say that we're going to talk about Owl, and then we end up talking about who knows what at some point.
We start theorizing about the show again.
So you'll be in more of these, and maybe we'll just do it like this instead of Zoom.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here at night anyway,
Yeah.
doing class, so maybe this is just how we'll do it.
We'll see how the lighting is.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we could always bust out Matt's Halo light.
Oh yeah.
So we can do that. But yeah, cool.
All right.
That's it. We're done.